This feels pretty vulnerable to share, so I'm not going to go into too many details, but I recently got my heart broken by somebody that I really cared about, and honestly, it has really sucked. Heartbreak is one of those things that just makes you feel so out of control and like you can't manage your emotions, especially if you don't have closure from the other person or part of you still wants them and is hoping for them to come back. And as much as it hurts, I really do feel that heartbreak is the catalyst for the most powerful form of growth. The kind of growth that forces you to come back home to yourself, rebuild your self-worth, and finally pour all of the energy that you were giving away into your own healing and your own happiness. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about moving through and alchemizing your heartbreak, turning your pain into something beautiful, taking all of these difficult emotions that you're feeling and using them as fuel for this next chapter of your life. I've been through heartbreak many times in my life, so this is coming from my own personal experiences as well as research that I've done, books that I've read, TikToks and YouTube videos that I've watched, and also what I'm taking myself through right now. And if you like these kinds of videos, definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell, and without further ado, let's get into it. Heartbreak can come in so many different forms. You could be experiencing heartbreak right now after getting a divorce from somebody that you were married to for 10 years, or maybe you just left a relationship that you were in for 2 years, 3 years, or maybe your heartbreak is from a situationship that lasted 6 weeks. Regardless how long you were with this person or the extent of your relationship, your feelings are still valid. When you open your heart to somebody and you get close to somebody, you let them in, you become vulnerable. Love always comes with some type of risk. Opening up to somebody and letting them in is a risk. And then when it doesn't work for whatever reason, you kind of feel this like emptiness where they used to be. It feels like a wound that's exposed and vulnerable. On top of that, you've created routines with this person. You've created routines around texting this person all day, checking in with them throughout the day. You created routines in seeing them often. If you were with them for a long time, maybe you lived together, so your lives are very much enmeshed. You also saw a future with this person, so it's a complete shock to your nervous system to go from all of that routine and consistent contact with this person and also seeing a future with them to now all of a sudden not having them in your life. So it makes sense why you're feeling this way. And I just want to say that because it is so easy to invalidate ourselves when we're experiencing heartbreak, especially if it was from something that wasn't even that long. But your nervous system isn't based on logic, it's based on safety. And you found safety within this person and now they're just gone, which makes your nervous system feel dysregulated. So now you have to create that safety within yourself. So how do you do that? The best thing that you can do for yourself when you're experiencing heartbreak is to learn how to regulate your nervous system. Because like I said, it is such a shock to your nervous system to go from this one reality where this person very much existed in so many different aspects of your life, even in your future, to now all of a sudden no longer having them in your life. It's gonna feel like a shock to your nervous system. So you need to get in the habit of regulating your nervous system. And I want to share a couple of different ways that I have found to be really helpful to regulate my nervous system. But I really do recommend taking some time and figuring out what works for you, what has helped you in the past go from a really chaotic, dysregulated state to a state of calm. So a couple of things that have really helped me is breath work. I love doing breath work. I always do this one video on YouTube. I'm absolutely obsessed with this video. I discovered this video actually 4 years ago when I experienced my last really big heartbreak. It's the Wim Hof breath work. It's like a 10-minute video on YouTube, and I did this every single day, twice a day after that breakup to just really create a more regulated nervous system. So the reason this breath work is so helpful specifically for heartbreak is because it takes you out of your mind and into your body. A lot of the times when you're in that dysregulated state, it's because your mind is just spiraling, especially like I said, if you don't have closure from this person or you're left feeling confused, you can't really fully understand what happened. You're still trying to process like the ending of this relationship. And all of this confusion kind of just makes our mind completely spiral, because our mind really relies on stability and certainty and facts and logic. And when none of that is available to us, it causes us to spiral. So this Wim Hof breath work takes you out of your mind and brings you into your body. It also helps to regulate your nervous system by first activating your sympathetic nervous system and then activating your parasympathetic nervous system. So your sympathetic nervous system is responsible for your fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for rest and restoring. Another reason I really love this breath work is because that method of activating your sympathetic nervous system and then activating your parasympathetic nervous system mimics a stress release cycle. So instead of being stuck in fight or flight, which we often are when our mind is spiraling, your body gets a controlled dose of it. And then it learns to self-regulate and bring itself back to safety. So not only are you helping yourself in the moment, but you are training your nervous system to go from a really dysregulated state to a regulated, calm state. So I noticed that on the days when I do this breath work, it's a lot easier for me throughout the day to regulate my nervous system. Whenever I do get in those panicky states, it's almost like my nervous system just kind of does it automatically. So I really recommend checking this video out, or just doing breath work in general. Breath work is such an amazing practice. And I think if you're somebody who leans more into anxious attachment and you kind of struggle with things like meditating because your mind just does not stop, I really think that you would benefit from breath work, especially one like the Wim Hof method, because it actually, another thing too, sorry, I've been going on this for a minute, but another thing about this method is that it has you hold your breath for like a minute and a half. And what I have learned from doing this is that your thoughts are energy. So when you're holding your breath for that long, if you have thoughts, you are using up your energy, which then makes it harder for you to continue to hold your breath. So you have to literally force your mind to stop thinking any thoughts in order to preserve your energy. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say about that, but I'll leave the link to that video down in the description box because it has always helped me a lot. A couple other things that really help to regulate my nervous system are sitting out in nature and just listening to music, or going on long walks with my dog. Also, EFT tapping is a really great way to regulate your nervous system. You can watch a couple of videos. I also have a video on my channel where I walk you through the entire process of EFT tapping, so you can click up here to watch it. And like I said, I would really just take the time to figure out what helps you the most to get from that dysregulated state to a more regulated, calm state, and make a habit of doing that daily, especially in the first couple of weeks, the first couple of months after your heartbreak. That is really when nervous system regulation is so important, because you essentially have to retrain your nervous system to live without this person. And in order to do that, you need to create safety within yourself, because for the longest time, your nervous system found safety in this other person. Especially if you were living with this person. That's actually what happened to me in my relationship the last time I experienced a really, really challenging heartbreak. Is I was living with my ex, and he was very emotionally supportive, and I really loved that. But I didn't notice until after the breakup that I was actually depending a lot on him for my emotional regulation. And so once we broke up, it felt like I did not know how to regulate myself without him. And so that's when I got into breath work, into nervous system regulation, and I started creating that safety within myself. Because although it's great to have support from other people and from our partners, from our friends, to allow them to regulate us, like I do think there is a level of like healthy co-regulation with another person, you know, cuddling with somebody hugs you and it like calms your nervous system. Like I do think that is very healthy. But if that becomes your only source of nervous system regulation, that isn't healthy. You need to be able to create that safety within yourself and regulate your own nervous system. Another way to create safety within yourself is to validate your emotions. Remind yourself that you are safe. Do your best to not invalidate what you're feeling or what you're thinking. Remind yourself that your emotions are valid. Your experience is valid. Everything that you're feeling and experiencing in this moment is valid. And it's okay that you're spiraling. Any normal person would be feeling exactly the same way that you're feeling. and tuning into yourself and reminding yourself in those moments of feeling really dysregulated, I am safe. It is okay to feel. It is okay to feel. I am safe and it is okay to feel. It also really helps if you put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and you just close your eyes and kind of tune in with your body and just remind yourself, I am safe. It is okay to feel, and kind of just like breathe into that. Also, if you're a spiritual person, praying, leaning on God, reading the Bible, doing whatever it is that connects you even more with your faith, I really do think that heartbreak is such a beautiful time to get closer in your faith, get deeper in your faith, turn to God. That has honestly been something that's really been giving me a lot of comfort, is leaning on God, turning to my faith. And leaning on faith-based perspectives also really helps because it kind of zooms you out of like your human self and allows you to see almost like a God perspective, like the real reason why this is happening, or believing that rejection is redirection and you are being protected from something. And maybe you don't know. We can't know fully why something is happening when we are just in our own experience. But if you pull yourself out of it for a second, if you see it from God's eyes, you will understand that He is protecting you from something, or He has something better for you. Or there is something in this moment, in this experience that you need to learn. That's the beautiful thing about heartbreak, is there are so many lessons and so much growth in it. And it is such a painful and difficult way to experience lessons, but it really works. It really allows you to learn these deep lessons that I believe our souls need to learn. Every single heartbreak that I've ever experienced has taught me so much about myself, about what I want, about having stronger boundaries, about having higher standards for myself, about walking away from things that are no longer serving me and trusting that I'm going to call in something better. Okay, so moving on, I want to talk about emotionally detaching. Because again, especially if you are somebody with an anxious attachment, which by the way, I am, so I am speaking from personal experience, emotional detachment can be so difficult. And so I kind of want to share some things that have really helped me in terms of emotionally detaching, especially as somebody with an anxious attachment. So first of all, I think the biggest thing is to go no contact if possible. Of course, there are some situations, maybe you share kids with this person that you can't completely go no contact, but I definitely think if you can, go no contact. Do not speak to this person, because every time you talk to them, it's reopening that wound. And also remove all triggers. So that means either hiding or deleting all photos, videos, messages, everything. You can put everything in a box and give it to your best friend and tell her, hide this for me. Don't give it to me until a year from now, after I've healed from this. If you don't want to throw things away, if you don't want to delete things, you can hide it. But my thing is that for me personally, hiding things doesn't work because I know where I hid it. So like when I'm in that moment of like wanting to like feel the feelings and cause myself to spiral even more, I will find the thing that I hid and I will just keep myself stuck. So for me personally, it helps to just completely get rid of things, delete it. It is what it is. Also, another tip to emotionally detach from somebody is to emotionally attach to something else. So especially as women, we are natural nurturers. We love to pour our energy into things, into people. And if that person that you have been pouring your energy into, or you want to continue to pour your energy into, has left your life, you now need to take that emotional attachment and place it into something else. Whether it's yourself, whether it's a project, you could place it into somebody else, but I don't think that's healthy, especially when you're still healing. I think pouring that energy into yourself or into a project. Post-heartbreak is really my time to be most motivated. This is when I feel like I have the most like creative inspiration, and I really do think it just goes to show that like, especially as women, like we are alchemizers. We turn our pain into power, into art. So I think the best thing you can do is to place that energy, that emotional attachment that you have from this man or this person, and place it into something that is going to cause your life to improve. And I really think the two best things to place your energy into post breakup is the gym and some type of project, whether it's like a creative dream or a creative hobby, something that's going to allow you to creatively express yourself and also accomplish some dream that you've always had. You know, maybe this is your time, especially because post breakup, like, now you don't have this person in your life that you were probably spending so much of your time with. So now I'm sure like your weekends have freed up, your time has freed up. And with all of that time, you're just left to spiral in your thoughts. And so you can use that time to now go to the gym, start that YouTube channel, start that Instagram or that TikTok page, start that business that you've always wanted to start. Pour all of that hurt and that pain and that confusion and that heartbreak into creating something beautiful for yourself. For me personally, whenever I experience heartbreak, I find that my art improves, like my writing improves, everything improves, everything it like just flows so much easier because I'm just more tapped into like my feminine self. And this is also a good time to pour into your friendships, especially if you are the type of person that whenever you get in a relationship, you kind of maybe unintentionally abandon some of your friends, you stop spending time with them. Well, now you have all this time in the world. So call up your friends, have some girls' nights, and just have fun. Pour your energy into sisterhood. That was actually something else I did in my last breakup 4 years ago. Is I had all this time now and I didn't really have that many friends in my life. So I like really was intentional about creating friendships, and I started building these friendships with these incredible women who I now consider my sisters. I think it's really important to lean on your friendships in this time period. It is okay if you are leaning on your friends a little bit more than normal, or maybe you're not showing up as the best friend that you can because you just don't have the capacity. And I also think that in this time period, it's really important not to make your entire life about healing. Like, yes, we want to emotionally process. We want to take the time to heal. We want to take the time to ourselves. I think especially if you want to actually move forward from this and you don't want to stay stuck in these feelings, it is so important to intentionally heal, process the emotions, feel the emotions. I personally wouldn't date in this time period because you want to make sure that you are focused on yourself. You want to make sure that you are healed before getting into something else. But all of that to say is that yes, we want to focus on our healing, but your whole entire life is not just about healing. I think it is so important to have fun. It is okay to distract yourself. It is okay to intentionally redirect your thoughts and say, I am no longer available for this anymore. And you kind of know when you're at that point, when you've spiraled so many different times about the same exact thing, and you finally get to a point where you're like, you know what, every time I have this thought, I'm just going to choose to redirect it. I'm just going to choose to let this go. Sometimes that's really all it takes, is just making that decision to just let it go. Last thing that I want to mention when it comes to heartbreak is to choose not to let it harden you. So heartbreak is such a visceral feeling. It can literally feel like your heart is breaking. And when you experience that level of pain, it is so natural to never want to experience that ever again. It's so natural to just want to close your heart, keep people at an arm's length. It's so easy to say to yourself, I'm never going to date ever again. I'm never going to let anybody get that close to me ever again. I'm never going to open my heart again. All men are trash. I'm done dating. It is so easy and natural for us to make these generalized statements as a way to protect our hearts. Experiencing that much pain, it is natural for your mind and for your body to just want to protect itself. And so it creates these walls, it creates these barriers, which stops you from ever letting love in if you don't intentionally choose not to let it harden you. And that's why I think it's really important, if you can, if you have access to it, to get into therapy, specifically somatic therapy, because that will really allow you to process the feelings and the emotions so that you don't let this experience harden you. That is honestly something I wish I would have done 4 years ago, the last time I experienced a really, really difficult heartbreak. I let it harden me. I let it stop me from going out there and finding love again. I built so many walls around my heart, and in the last 8 months, I've really been working intentionally in therapy every week to break down those walls and to slowly let my guard down. And I did recently in this experience, which is why I got my heart broken again, because I opened my heart. And naturally, as soon as that happened, I was like, well, this is why I keep my heart closed. This is why I don't let people in, because this is what happens. People break my heart. And that was like my natural thought process. But I'm choosing to continue to stay in therapy, to continue to feel the feelings and not let this experience harden my heart, because just because there is that risk of heartbreak doesn't mean that we should never experience love again. Love is such a beautiful feeling, to be seen, to be understood, to be comforted, and to have a beautiful partnership with somebody. We all deserve that. And so even though this process was so painful for me, I am still choosing to stay open-hearted. I really recommend that you do the same. Of course, we always want to have discernment. It's not like we're just open-hearted and letting anybody in. It is still so important to have discernment, have strong boundaries, have your standards, have your things, especially if you've experienced heartbreak and getting hurt by different people. Then you start to know, okay, this person doesn't feel safe to me. This type of person doesn't feel safe to me. It doesn't feel safe when somebody does this. It doesn't feel safe when somebody does that. So then you know, you have evidence, so that next time you date, you can date intentionally. You can say, okay, I am going to choose not to move forward when somebody is exhibiting this type of behavior. And that is really what experiences like this teaches us. And sometimes it's not even a lesson of something that you did, because I really don't even believe that we can do the wrong thing with the right person and vice versa. Like, if it is the right person for you, you can do everything wrong and it will not matter. If that is not your person, you can do everything right and it will not matter. They will still leave. So sometimes the lesson is that you did everything right. You did everything perfect, but that person was not ready for you, and you just can't take that personally. So I really hope that this video was helpful. I do kind of feel like I was a little bit all over the place, but I was just speaking from my heart, especially being that I just went through this experience, and kind of just the thoughts that have been in my mind the past couple of weeks as I am healing my heart. And I just want to send you so much love in this journey. It is so challenging. It's so difficult. It makes you feel honestly so powerless. It's actually not fun at all, but I really hope that this video could help you see a more positive perspective, and that you can turn this heartbreak into fuel. You can turn this heartbreak into art, into purpose. You know, I think back to the last time I experienced a really, really challenging heartbreak and how much my life has changed since then. If I had stayed in that relationship, I never would have been able to move to San Diego. I never would have been able to live there for 2 years and discover so much of myself and learn so much about myself, take so many risks, and have so many experiences in life that came as a result of me leaving that relationship. So even if it doesn't make sense right now, one day it will. So I really hope that you found this video helpful. Please leave me a comment down below if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.